Hauntcast.
Haunting Halloween and horror.
Interviews with haunting gurus.
Gather round, children, so I can regale you with a fairy tale from a thing known as a book. When I was your age, television was called books. Well, actually, nowadays, I guess you could say TikTok was called books. Whatever. Anyway, there was this incredibly gifted lass named Jennifer Dunahee that lived in a faraway land in Comstock Park, Michigan. And she created an enchanted village that children would travel far and wide to visit. This place was known across the land as the Haunting at Storybook Hollow. And that is where our story begins. Jennifer!
Hello. That was great.
Glad to have you.
Glad to be here.
Let's talk about Storybook Hollow and all of the wonderful things that it is. The amazing haunt. Well, I know you've had some people out there who say it's not a haunt, but I beg to differ.
Thank you.
Before the Haunting at Storybook Hollow began, did you have another display or something else you were doing before you branded and went the direction that the haunt is in right now?
Well, I sort of did. So basically, I started doing this when I was a little kid. When I was about 4, my dad would set up a little, just a small scene. He had a little coffin and a little tombstone, and he would put a red light on our porch light and blast the speakers, and I would stand there and watch all the big kids like dare each other to go look in the coffin. And I was like 4 or 5 and thought I was the coolest thing in the world. And then when I was 11, my dad and I stumbled on the first home haunt I've ever seen. And it was just really elaborate for the 80s. And we stood there and just stared at that thing forever. We're like, let's do this. So then my dad and I started doing that. And it was rotisserie motors and guillotines and all that. And I did that with my dad for years. And then I started doing like really elaborately themed parties, and then got married, moved into our house, and did decorations, but not really a haunt until we had been here for a couple of years. And the first year we did it, it was just all kinds of random stuff, whatever I could throw together. But I had a witch in a shrub holding out an apple, and then I had this little Snow White that I had made looking at the apple, and everybody just loved that, and it was my favorite thing I had done. And that was in 2008, so I considered that to be kind of like the kickoff point. And then the very next year, no, that was 2007. And then 2008 went full-fledged on that whole fairy tale theme because I really liked that, and I've always really liked like literature and fairy tales anyway. And kind of went fairly big right off the bat when we started that year, and have done fairy tales ever since.
So wow, so 2008 was, I guess, what you could say was the beginning,
right, of
Storybook Hollow, which is because that's just about the same year that I kind of started the Village Mire. Was I think right around the same year. Yeah. And you've done so much more. Now I feel like a piece of shit because you've done so much more.
No, oh my God, your stuff's amazing.
You've done so much more with your. No. I'm like watching videos, and I'm looking. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, oh, and there's that. And like, I'm looking at all these little details and Easter eggs, and the little signs.
Easter eggs are my favorite.
And I'm like, oh my God, I hope people appreciate this when they come there, because I'm looking at all of this, and it's just like the amount of detail, the attention to detail is absolutely ridiculous. The uniqueness of it that I really appreciate, because I'm always looking for something that really like just smacks me in the face. Like, oh my God, I've never seen that before. Do you have any formal training, or where have you picked up your skills over the years? How have you learned to build these amazing dragons, creatures? Like, where have you picked all this up?
Just trial and error. I have I don't know. I'm really stubborn. So if I set my mind that I'm to do something, I will just keep at it and just keep failing over and over until I get it right. And I don't know. So I guess I just trial and error. Yeah, mostly just that. I will look up videos in YouTube and like, oh my gosh, like back in the haunt forum days, that's what really ignited me to go from like, hey, I have this Halloween display to home haunt was, the haunt forum days. So a lot of,
Mm-hmm.
tutorials from those days, to get like really get the basics and, get things figured out. But especially with the dragons, it's just a ton of trial and error. And then like starting out when I was a kid, like when I was like 11, 12, whatever, I would build things, they would fall apart. So I would get really determined, like figure out how to make something not fall apart. And so, yeah, it's always just, especially back in like the 80s and 90s, there weren't a lot of resources. So, I was making things out of milk jugs and just whatever I could find. And yeah, so it's really just trying to be resourceful, trial and error, and being just too stubborn to give up.
Yeah.
And practice, practice, practice. That's another thing. Like how we were like, it's kind of like, I guess it's like a privilege of mine, but so I'm a stay-at-home mom,
Mm-hmm.
and when my youngest went off to school, went off to kindergarten, he was in school full time. I was like, well, I could get a job or I could just really, really get into haunting. So that was the year I built the castle. I
Boy,
built
that's a
that
tough
castle.
decision.
I know, right? I was like, if I'm, and like, my husband was on board. He was like, all right, cool, whatever. You know, so we're already set up with a one income family. So um, it just worked out that way. I'm really, really, really fortunate to be able to do that. So yeah, the year that my youngest went to school, that was the year I built the castle. I built that thing in 3 weeks because I had the whole day of quiet. So that he'd get on the bus, I'd get building, he'd get back on the bus or back home from school off the bus, and I'd have that whole day. I just build a castle. And that's when we really kind of went to the, it's when we kind of really started going over the top. It was when I had the whole day. I could just make stuff. So I'm kind of spoiled in that way.
What were a couple of your first props that you created for Storybook Hollow?
The first things I made, we still have. I'm weird about that. If I want to redo something, I'll redo it from that thing. I'll use that as the base. The very, very, very first thing I made was the evil queen with the apple. I decided that my whole backstory, and I'm really, really bad at presenting the backstory and the spooky stuff on my videos. So I'm going to need to work on that. But the backstory is that all of the villains are all coming back as ghosts. So we have like the ghost of the evil queen, the ghost of the big bad wolf, the ghost of Captain Hook. So the ghost of the evil queen was the very first thing I made, and then also the big thing we added that year was the witch wagon, which we still have. Um, it's like a Vardo type thing. That the witches are in, and it has like gosh, the big screen TV, like way back in the day, the crystal ball illusion that we still use, that we did back then. I think I did the big bad wolf and the Queen of Hearts ghost that year. I think that was what we did. And then like Little Red Riding Hood and that. And back then I did tombstones, in because I didn't have a cemetery. I just had the tombstones in front of the ghost villains that had like a silly little epitaph on it. I had like trying to remember some of the ones, but anyway, they were just really cheesy that had like little references to the characters. That was really what it was the first year, and then just went from there. Like 3 years in, is when I built a dragon on the roof, and that's when we started to kind of go a little bit crazy with the dragons. And he was really rudimentary, but he was huge and he was fun. And I was really bad. I was pregnant when I did that, sitting on a roof building a dragon, which I probably shouldn't have done, but I did. Um, yeah, so that's basically kind of like where we started.
Okay, so that was kind of year one with
Mhm.
the.
Yeah, year
Okay.
one we did the Vardo, and then we did the Big Bad Wolf and Little Red Riding Hood, Snow White and the Evil Queen. I think I did Alice and the Queen of Hearts that year, but it was just like the character, like Alice, and then the ghost counterpart, Red Riding Hood, and the ghost counterpart with a tombstone in front of them that had the label of who the villain was. just
Uh-huh.
kind of like scattered around the yard. And then I had what was
So
that?
you didn't have the facades really weren't there yet.
No, no. The castle facade I did, that was 2017 or 2018 when my son started school. And then the following year, I was just really annoyed because the garage was turned into a castle and the other half of our house just looked like a house. And so the next year I was like, we should put a facade on the rest of the house. And then we did some ballet sets for a local ballet studio. And at the end of the production, they said we could keep everything. And I was like, dude, this would be perfect. It would be perfect for the front of the house. And then so we used those, and then I just had to fill in a few gaps with a few other little because the facades are just little shops because it's a village. And then so then after that we've had the facade over the whole house. So that was 2017, 2018.
So the dragon's lair or the dragon's castle, those were all like foam blocks, and is that how you built that whole facade?
Yeah, so the two towers, those are plywood. I'm actually that's what I've been working on today because I'm redoing those. And I'm mad because I was like, I'm gonna paint them, to texture them and repaint them. And I step back, I'm like, I just turned them into a freaking Olive Garden. So I'm gonna it looks like an Olive Garden. So I
You'll
gotta
have
redo
people
them again.
pulling up for takeout orders.
Right. I was like, okay, that was a bad choice in color scheme. It looks like an Olive Garden. I'm asking everybody, does it look like an Olive Garden? They're like, no, it's fine. My daughter, who is like honest to a fault, and she's a little bit mean. I was like, she's like, I like it. It reminds me of Frankenmuth, which is like a little tourist village not too far from here. And I was like, it doesn't look like Olive Garden. And she's like, oh, you shouldn't have said that. Yeah, it's Olive Garden. I was like, see, I knew it. But yeah, so yeah, they're plywood, and then the inside, the stone part of the inside is actually just stone paneling, and then the rest of it is all foam.
Nice.
Yeah, the arches are Tractor Supply Company foam blocks. All the walls are it's all just stones carved out of
Yeah,
foam.
everybody is always saying, yeah, go to Tractor Supply, Tractor Supply. We have a Tractor Supply here on Cape Cod, and I hit them up, and they're like, oh, yeah, we send those all go back. And I'm like,
Oh,
what?
not
Everybody
fair.
across the country it gets all their blocks from you guys, and I try to get anything,
Mhm.
and it's like, no, we ship them back. But
Oh
I
no.
had to find a trailer sales company. They sell trailers for motorcycles and landscapers and all that kind of stuff. And
Yeah,
I found one on Facebook finally, and they were about a 45-minute drive, but they were like, yeah, we have a pile.
there you go.
I'm just about out because I'm not doing huge facades with them. I
Okay,
just made a couple. Like I use some for Cthulhu. I use
right.
some for the Elder thing in the media, and now I'm like, okay, I got 2 blocks left. I think 2 blocks and a bunch of scraps.
Right. Another good resource to hit up is roofing companies.
Roofing companies. Okay.
Yeah. So my husband's a roofer. That's what he does. And when they do tear offs, and here's the thing: I've been married to a roofer for like 20 years now, and I actually don't know exactly what the foam is. Yeah, but there's foam like coming out their ears, and so he's always bringing me foam.
Oh,
And he
nice.
said that like roofing companies, when they do tear offs, they just have all this foam, and some will just throw it straight in the dumpster, and some will just bring it back to their shops and do whatever. But if you start letting them know that you're looking for it, then they can maybe you can get somebody to save it for you, because I get anywhere from like 1 inch sheets to like I had some 8 inch thick
Oh, so
sheets.
with the roofing, it's sheets, not blocks.
Right. It's
Okay, got it.
sheets.
Got it.
But last year he started bringing me I think it's like 4 by 8 foot, 8 inch thick sheets of foam. That's what I made all those giant books out of.
8 inch thick.
It's insane. It is like
Wow.
the most glorious stuff. And like I had like a few more sheets of it, and he was like, "Do you still need these? I'm gonna throw these in the storage." And I was like, "Well, I'm gonna hang on to them. I still need them." He's like, "I've got like 75 more of those in the shop." I'm like, "Holy crap!"
Oh, that's a score.
Yeah, so
That's a
roofing
connection.
companies.
All
Hit up
right.
roofing companies.
All right. I will
Because
have to.
because
I'll
he's
have to do.
he's moved from a few different companies, and they always have foam. And then my brother-in-law also does roofing, and he's always bringing me foam too. So roofing companies are a good resource.
You could start your own foam business there, Jen. You could
I
start selling
know.
foam to
My
people in the area,
brother-in-law
right?
came up with these. I don't know what they were. No, I know what they were used for. They were used for like they were holding up boards that they were spraying something on, and they were 25-inch high density foam blocks. And they had so many of them. I ended up just like posting in a somewhat local haunt group. I was like, people coming at these, and we were like giving them like to people, and like so yeah. Like I've been having a lot of luck with foam the last couple of years. I'm like
That's great because
hoping,
having to go to Home Depot and buy the pink or blue or where go
right?
and buy the pink or blue foam.
Mhm.
I seriously haven't bought any pink or blue foam in quite a while because I just haven't needed to. Like I haven't made any new tombstones. My my cemetery is about as big as it's going to get, and I don't really need
Yeah.
to add to it. I'm not looking to do any big facades or anything. All
Mhm.
I wanted is the foam blocks because I want to start getting into making creatures out of the foam blocks. So that was like my
Right.
big thing is like I wanted to get some foam blocks just for that
Right.
because I hate having to glue the 2-inch or the 1-inch pieces
Mhm.
together to make like it's so much harder to cut through or to rasp through
Mhm.
layers of glue or foam, spray foam or whatever. Anyway,
Yeah. That's what I've
um,
been doing. I've just been
yeah,
spray foaming the sheets together because I don't
yeah,
have a ton of the blocks.
yeah.
Well, I
So
have now. I
they,
have
yeah,
those big ones, but prior to that, like I was just gluing the layers together with spray foam. I used to use like foam safe caulk, and then when you go to cut through that, it's such a pain.
it's brutal. I
Hmm.
made that mistake. I never usually do that. I always use just great stuff window and door,
Hmm.
and to glue my foam together, and that is usually works great for me. And for some
Yes.
reason, I was in Home Depot and I grabbed a couple of cans of that, the foam board caulk kind of
Hmm.
tubes. And when I was doing the elder thing, because I didn't have much to glue on, I just needed to bulk it out an extra 2 inches around each
Right.
side and trying to cut through it was just really problematic, rasping
Hmm.
and cutting through it. And I was like, why did I use this? Why? I never use this shit. Why did I buy this? I have no idea
Right.
why I bought it. I don't know why I thought it was a good idea when I was there. I always do the same thing all the time. I don't know why I changed it, and I will not go back to using that stuff again ever.
Right. You know
Um,
what else is sometimes it like never really completely cures. Um, I it was weird. I did a dragon years and years and years ago. Like it was the first one I did. It was on the roof, and then I decided to redo him. Like a couple of years later, and when I got down into the middle, it was still not cured in the very middle. And I don't know if it's just because it was getting reactivated or what, but like you don't have that issue with spray foam, you know?
yeah. Yeah, that's odd. I didn't, I've never had that happen before.
Yeah.
Speaking of the dragon, since we're on the, you have, how many dragons do you have now in the haunt? How many do you have?
Well, I have a few store-bought ones, so I don't know if we count them or not. But ones that
Oh,
I've made,
once you
um,
made. We'll just stick
ones
to the
I've
ones
made,
you made. Yeah.
yeah, let's see, 7.
You've
Not
made
not counting
7.
the not co- not counting the dragon, the pumpkin one that I'm still planning to finish, but it's my nemesis this year.
Is that one of the, it's a next year thing?
Yeah, I'm
It's
still I'm
it's
still
on the
in
next year list already.
I'm still in denial. I'm still telling myself I'll get it done this year because I announced him on my page. I made a big deal about him and everything.
uh,
So I'm like, I have to. And then my daughter gave me this idea that even because the head is almost done, but I haven't even started the body, the wings, the hands. So she said, like, because he's a pumpkin dragon to go in the pumpkin patch, and we have this like treehouse castle structure. And she said, like, worst comes to worst, just have him peeking through, from behind there, and just have his head stick out. And I'm like, I could do that. That's a good idea. So I'm
yeah.
hoping to at least get that done.
Uh-huh. And then you
We
could do
just
the body next year kind of a
Yeah, that's
thing.
what I'm
Yeah.
thinking. Basically, I started him in March and I was like guns blazing. I was like it was going great. And then we had a bunch of just medical crap hit multiple family members and
Uh,
ended up having a really, really rough few months. And every time I go back to work on that dragon, my brain goes right back to that place. And I was like, I really got to get past that and get this dragon done. But I lost all interest in working on him. Like
yeah.
my mom was sick, 3 of my kids were sick, and my husband, we had a lot of storms in northern Michigan. My husband got called to go do storm repair, and he was gone for like a month and a half
Oh
while my
wow.
mom was in the hospital. 2 of my kids were in the hospital. It was, and not to be a downer, sorry. It was not a fun time, and I have lost all interest in that dragon since then.
Well, maybe it is sometimes I find this happens to me is I have to just walk away from something and
Yep.
come back to it at another time
Yeah.
and pick up. And then usually when I come back to it, I blast right through it.
Yep.
Sometimes I
Yep.
do have to do that. I've done that with a few other things where and sometimes I put them away for a number of years and then I finally came back to it. And then it's like,
Right.
well, I mean, shit, that Gordy prop, the pumpkin creep creature. I had one of those in my haunt for years when I first started. It was one of my first big props that I made, but I was never happy with it. And then it kind of fell apart and I scrapped it. I tried to redo it and it was sucked. And then I was like looking at it going, what am I going to do with this? And I'm like, I don't even want this in my yard anymore. It's got to go. And I took a couple of years. I kept saying I was going to come back to it. 2 or 3 years later, I finally said, you know what? I'm doing that this year. I'm bringing it back. I'm building it right this
Nice.
time. I'm going to do it
Nice.
the right way this time. And I
Right.
came back with it with like a whole new vigor and
Right.
banged it out like in no time.
Nice.
So
It's nice, kind of like when the stars align, and then it's like, there we go.
yeah. Yeah, I was just ready to tackle it again, and I just did it. And I'm not trying to tell you not to do your dragon, but I don't know.
I know.
Sometimes you do have to do that. It happens.
I
It's part of
know.
it's part of that creative process. It's just the way it works.
Yeah, I just wish I hadn't announced him on my page. I made a
Yeah.
big, stupid deal out of it.
Oh
Because here's
no.
what happened is I'm really bad at social media, and I'm bad at posting, and I'm really bad at posting consistently, especially when crunch time hits and I'm just like tunnel vision working on stuff. But then Facebook went and monetized my page. So I was like, oh, I should make content. I'll announce my dragon. And then I made all these little cutesy posts about him and then quit posting because I got busy and life got nuts. And now I'm like, yeah, I shouldn't have posted about the dragon. Because usually I don't do that. Usually I post stuff when I get it done, Because then I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I got to do something.
I regret anytime I make an announcement about something because then it's like, oh shit, I committed myself to do it, and
Exactly.
I'm usually pretty adamant on when I say I'm going to do something on
Right.
on a day or specific time, I do it. I hate having to box myself in like that. I've really got to prevent myself from opening my mouth and
Yep.
sticking my
Same.
boot in there. I'm just gonna not, hey, you'll get what you get when you get it. And you'll like it, kid.
Right.
It's like,
Yeah.
as they
But
say, under promise, over deliver, or something like
Right,
that.
exactly. But I got all like, "Ooh, I'm monetized. I should make some posts." Well, I should have realized I wasn't going to stick with it. It's not like I'm ever going to like be one of those pages that
You an influencer? You're going to be an influencer
yeah,
now?
no,
I
definitely
think it,
not.
I,
But in my
I,
mind, for that moment when I saw
uh,
that we can monetize your page, I was like, "Ooh," and like, "Oh, maybe I can at least pay for the expense of the hub, and help pay for storage or something." And
yeah.
yeah, it
I
didn't.
had
It didn't last.
I had that delusion of trying to do a social media thing a couple of years ago, and I was like immediately I don't want to. I don't want to do this. This isn't me. I'm
Right.
not going to be doing all this flashy TikToky video
Oh my
things, and
gosh.
it's like no.
Yep.
It's like I look at it, and I see a lot of that stuff, and I go, man, this is just cringe. I don't want to be
Mhm.
that person. I
Yep.
don't.
And I'm just so like I'm not like that. I'm too like my daughter. So my daughter's 16. She's offered. She's like, I'll run a TikTok for you, and I'm like, all right, but she dances full time. She's really busy, so she doesn't really have any more time for it than I do. And it's like it's
Yeah.
just not
You
not
can't you
what
can't
I
get
do.
I know you can't get the stuff you really want to do done because you're too busy trying to
Yeah.
videotape everything.
Mm-hmm.
I was just working on something today, and I'm like, and I was trying to take some I was like, oh, I'll make a quick little video on this, and I'm like starting to take video and pictures of it. I'm like, you know what? This is slowing me down. Forget this. I got to
Right.
get this thing done. I'm like, I just can't. Whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm like, I do my podcast. That's what you get. You want to listen to Hauntcast, listen to the show.
Which I love.
That's what I can give you. I can't.
Right.
Anything else is just too much for me. I try to throw some stuff on. Post some. So posting pictures on Instagram is easy. Like that's not a problem. It's
See,
trying
I
to
even
make all
suck at
these little
that.
catchy videos and things that are just a pain in the ass to do. But
Yeah.
all right. So name what are the different? You have like what? How many did you say you made yourself? 7?
7 if I'm counting right. 2 of them
Oh
are
yeah.
babies though.
Okay. Can you name them?
Yeah, so I have Frosty. He was okay. Well, actually, I'll start with Montague. Montague was the very first one I made. He's the one I made when I was on the roof and I was pregnant, which is terrible. But I know,
Were
right?
you smoking and sucking back an old fashioned at the same time?
No, no. But I also rode. I rode roller coasters with that pregnancy before I found out I was pregnant. Then found out I was pregnant, and then built a dragon on the roof. So that poor child. But anyway, so yeah, that's Montague. I built him so rudimentary, but he stayed on our roof. Like the township actually grandfathered him in that we could keep him on the roof because we had a neighbor. We have a couple of neighbors who aren't so Halloween happy, but he would report it, and then they grandfathered him in so we could keep him on the roof. But then he blew over in a storm, and they're like, "Oh, you moved him, so he's not grandfathered in anymore." So they caught me on that technicality.
Ugh.
So
Yeah.
but he was super damaged anyway. So I pulled him off the roof, and then I threw away his body because it was just toast. But the head I kept. I just stuck it in the back corner of my yard for years. And then here's a funny story. So I was like, so one year I decided I was going to bring him back, just the head, and I put him on the roof behind the castle wall, and he's the one that breathes fire out on the roof.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I asked my husband if he could bring him in for me. He carried him in. There was a friggin' possum in its head.
He built a nest in his head.
He built a nest in its head, and my husband
Oh.
carried that thing to the house, got almost into the house before he realized there was a possum in it. Like, whoops. So, anyway, so yeah, so I rebuilt his head. That's Montague. He's the first one. So he doesn't actually have a body. He's just
Mm-hmm.
up on the roof behind us. So then Frosty was the first one that I built like from start to finish, like really like he was actually like, yeah, like once I started really getting into it. So I consider him to be like the first official one. I built him, he's a puppet and a costume, and I built him to bring to like Comic-Con and stuff like that. He's based on a Skyrim frost dragon. And then one year I was like, it'd be really cool if we could display him in the haunt, but he wasn't built for weather. And so my husband said we could put him in the garage, and I was like, but that's gonna look kind of lame just sitting in a garage. And I was like, oh, unless the garage is a castle. And that was the year I built the castle. So he just lives in there. We just pack everything back around him. We don't park in our garage. He just lives in that spot, and then we just clear off and set up around him every year. And then Serpy is the serpent dragon, and then I have Twiggy is the forest dragon, and then I have Puck and Thisbe, they're Montague's babies, and then I have Patch, the one I'm working on. I don't know if I forgot anybody. Oh, and I have Esther. She's one that I made out of the Big Lot skeleton dragon, but I made her kind of like a blight dragon. So she's basically based on like all the different diseases that plants get. So she's got like that. So those are the ones that I've made. And then I have 2 of the older style Home Depot dragons, and then I have a wyvern, the new wyvern that's supposed to be here on the 3rd.
Okay. So you're not above buying Home Depot props or anything
No,
like
like
that.
I like to make things myself, but if I see something that's like really well made, I will go ahead and buy it. And then I'd like to remake, make them over, one of these days. I say that every year, but I haven't gotten to it. But no, I used to kind of be like, oh, I'm not going to put anything out that I didn't make. But I don't know. I really like some of Home Depot stuff. So if it's something and I think it's good quality and it works thematically, I have no problem with some store-bought stuff.
Yeah, if it works within your theme, like I get it. How are the dragons constructed? Have you changed up the way you make them over the years?
Yeah, they're all pretty much made the same way. I've kind of learned over the years that certain materials work better than others, like frosty. So basically, I just basically I make like an armature. The spines pretty much are all steel conduit, and then I basically do like almost like little ribs. With frosty, I used PEX tubing, and over the years, we just have a lot of sag with him, so I've started just using PVC. I just heat shape it. But yeah, basically, I make an armature out of steel conduit and PVC, chicken wire for their bodies, and then I make these little tabs out of burlap glue, and I stick them all over the chicken wire, and then I glue sheets of burlap to that, and then I just smoosh. I use Monster Mud, but I use foundation coating instead of joint compound, so that it's exterior, like inherently exterior grade. I just smoosh all that into it, and then you know how the monster mud on burlap gets like nice and hard as a rock. That's what I use as the base of the body, and then I put EVA foam scales or whatever I'm using for texture over that. So basically, it's like a shell, and then I just work over that. Their heads are all carved out of just white beaded styrofoam. And then I put the mud over that so that it's got a hard shell. And then I just hot glue, like EVA foam to that, heat shape it, heat sculpt it with soldering iron, wood carving tools. Yeah, they're pretty much all made that way. It works out really well.
How long does one take to, like, what was the longest it took you to complete one of your dragons?
Frosty took 3 years because of him having to be a puppet and a costume. So getting the mechanics to work while making it still look the way I wanted it to look was a lot of trial and error. I thought we'd had him done. We'd bring him to an event, and then he'd fall apart. Bring him home, back to the drawing board. I had to hollow him out. His head had too much weight in it. Change his jaw mechanism, things like that. So that one took forever because we would bring him to things and he wouldn't function the way we wanted. So then I would have to come home and just kind of like tear him apart and start over. So he took 3 years. So he took a long time. The rest of them take about a year, anywhere from like 6 months to a year to make.
So it's taking the bulk of your time, though you are working on other like figures and statue,
Right.
other things along while you're doing that. It's just like you're kind of bouncing
Right.
back and forth between working on a dragon and working on a bunch of other stuff.
Yes, I have I think we talked about it on your group too, like palette cleanser projects. So I'll have like some other smaller projects that like if I'm getting really burned out on the dragon, I'll go like knock out some tombstones or I'll go make some creatures and things like that. So yeah, I'm always working on a few things. Like while I'm working on the dragons, when we get into closer to haunt season, like when it's like I usually start like right after Christmas. I will work probably pretty exclusively on the dragon for a few months before I'll start bringing some other haunt projects in um, to get a really good jump.
Yeah, so it's like your winter start off project after the holidays to say, all right, I'm
Yep.
going to get back into working on some stuff. I've taken a few months off. Time to get things moving.
Yeah, and I always start with the dragon's head and then base the body shape around that. So, yeah. So, and I don't have a studio or a workshop, so it's just in the living room of our house. We just have a little small house, and so yeah. Right after Christmas, I don't want to be like, all right, taking over, So I just usually start on the dragon's head, and yeah, and then I base the body shape and size on the whatever the head ends up like. I kind of because I don't really I just kind of get started and then just see where they take shape. I don't really do a whole ton of planning beforehand.
What about the other characters, such as Little Red Riding Hood, Alice? How are you making those figures or characters?
Yeah, so I start with a foam wig head and then I carve into it and then I'll add different features. I'll add little I use epoxy clay on them. Basically I kind of carve out where I'm gonna get. I usually cut the nose off and kind of hollow out the eyes. There's this. I can't at the top of my head remember. these two illustrators, they're sisters, and they illustrated children's books in the 60s, and their characters had this really exaggeratedly like deep set eyes, and I always loved that. And so I kind of like, so I carve out the eyes so they're like that, and then because I don't want them to look real, I want them to look more illustrated than real, so I don't use like realistic eyeballs in them, even though I do in the dragons. I don't know, I guess I've kind of got a few different things going, but yeah, so they're wig heads. I carve them and then I mud them so that they've got a good, like, I use that foundation coating, and then I use epoxy sculpt and sculpt their faces, and then I buy cosplay wigs for them, and then their bodies are just kind of like, gosh, go way back to when I was a kid. They're just your basic, like, the T shape with the boards, and then just like form the arms out of pool noodles and chicken wire and whatnot, and sometimes I make their clothes, sometimes I thrift things and revamp them from there. I have a friend who's a really, really good cosplayer, and a few years ago, she helped me out with some really great costumes that she made for some of my characters, because she's just really nice, and she was really inspired. And so yeah, and they're pretty basic, really. I really wish I had those characters posed better. I have a few that are like in more intricate poses. For the most part, they just kind of stand there. So that's something I need to work on. But yeah, they're pretty basic, really.
I've not used epoxy sculpt because I've had been using freeform air for a number of years. So
Yes.
but I think it's kind of the same thing. It's a part A, part B, like one part A, one part B. You have to knead it together. You make like two balls. You knead it together,
Yep.
and so it's basically the same thing as freeform air. I think you were it's just heavier than that. So,
It's just
and I think
heavy.
it's the same price actually. I was looking up and it
Yeah.
looks like it's around $120 or something
Yes.
for a jug of A and B kind of a thing, like a 1 gallon canister of each or something to that effect.
Yep.
Anyway,
Yeah. I did pick up some freeform air because I, on your recommendation, I haven't used it yet, but it was about the same price.
once again, I should be getting a kickback from Smooth On for the amount of time I promote that product.
I know.
'Cause it's sandable, it's paintable, it's weatherproof, it's
Yep.
light, it's strong, and it's very easy to work with. Not that it won't crack. Once again, I usually am using it as a coating. I will have like a styrofoam, whatever, and I'm like coating over it. And so, yeah, I mean, you can, if you try to make like claws, which I do all the time, I make like claws out of it.
Yeah.
When you have something that's that thin, like a claw, you can break the tip off, but it's so easy I'll just sand it down. It'll just be a shorter claw or whatever. Anyway, we don't have to go off the rails there on that. I just was curious about that product because I haven't used it, but I've always kind of understood it to be pretty much the same thing as freeform air, just heavier. Yeah.
I think so. It seems like
All
it.
right. Let's see. You even have stuff like the little like hand pull wooden wagon, like those kind of details. Did you make that yourself?
Yeah. So like the one that's in the little dragon farm.
Yes.
Yep. That's out of pallets.
Really? Nice job.
Yeah, I didn't make that. My husband made that.
Oh,
I
okay.
was like, oh, I wish I had a little pull cart in here, and like he put that in like 20 minutes. He's like, here you go. I'm like, yes.
So he's also handy. He's also
He
like
is. He doesn't really. He doesn't really get into Halloween. Once it's up, he loves it. He loves to like stand out and like visit with people. He gets really excited about it once it's up. I think he's out there visiting with people more than I am. I'm still in the house working on things because it's never done to me, you know. But when we're actually like this time of year, he doesn't get into it, but he does help me, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a reluctant helper or whatever. He won't
Yeah.
do it if you ask him to
Yep.
do something specific, but he's not going to be there. Like, what can I do next?
Right. Oh no. And
Hey, we should do this. He's not that guy.
Right.
Yeah.
He's also my logistics person, like, because he hauls everything to and from storage and everything like that. So he does that,
yeah.
and then the facades. He has a few neighbor, his friends that will come and help us get the facade up. Like we got the bulk of it all up in like a morning this year, which was like holy crap, because he helped it. He had some neighbors come and help, and that was really cool. But but yeah, he's super handy. Like, because he started out, he was a carpenter for years before he got into roofing, so he's really really talented.
Yeah.
When I can get him involved, you know. So he just he just so he was raised. They didn't really do Halloween, and
Yeah.
he's not against Halloween. He just thinks it's kind of silly, you know. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah. You know. Hey, look, I'm out of my entire family, I'm the only one who's like completely, look at me. I mean, I'm completely down with it. I have my podcast, my yard hunt, this
Yeah.
and that. Yeah, my brother could be like, yeah, whatever. Like he never cared, never went to Halloween parties. Like as he
Yeah.
got older, like of course when we were younger, yes, but like when we as he got in elementary, high school, nope, that was it. Halloween was over, and he moved on. That was it. My mom, my father, any of my family, nobody really. I'm the only person who loves this stuff. So I'm like, I get it. I'm surrounded by people who just don't care. My kids like it,
Right.
because of me, but doesn't mean that they're want to build stuff and do stuff. I mean, who knows? Maybe at some point when they get older and they have kids and a
Right.
house, you never know. But probably
Now,
would say I doubt it. I doubt it, but
yeah.
yeah. So,
So
yeah.
my dad did, he started it because he did a few things. It was the first year we lived in that house, and he set up a little thing. That's how I know I was 4. And so he would help me. He was my enabler. But now my son, I have a 32-year-old son. He has a house 4 houses up the street from me, and he has a haunt too.
Nice.
And so him and I, like, now the rest of my kids, like my youngest, he likes it okay. My middle 2, my daughter can take it or leave it. My 21-year-old absolutely hates it. But my
Yeah.
son, my oldest son, he's super into it. So he's kind of like my partner in crime.
Cool.
He's into vintage, so he collects blow molds,
Oh,
and
all right.
his haunt is like a blow mold museum. Like, he's trying to he's it's nuts, and he's got all kinds of fun vintage things,
Yeah.
and like, yeah, his is really really cool. His is really really cool.
Yeah, the vintage vibe. You can't. I always like it. I wouldn't do it for
Me
me,
too.
but I would love to see one. I'd like to go to one. Like I'd like to. I wish
Mhm.
somebody in my area did something like that. That would be fun.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
Yeah, he's got an amazing collection. He's got a lot of security on it because some of that shit's worth money.
Is it really?
But yeah, he's got everything. Like, he had somebody try to steal something, and it sort of triggered his little security system, and they took off. But
Nice.
he's got some really cool stuff. Like, I wouldn't dare put that stuff outside, but he does. So
Nice.
his is really neat. I love it. It's got such a vibe.
Now, is the beanstalk made pretty much like you, same way you do the dragons?
Yeah, the core of it is, and then it's all wrapped in the biggest finds are drain tile, and then the oversized jumbo pool noodles, regular sized pool noodles, pipe, like the pipe insulation, and then down to the backer, various sizes of backer rod. But yeah, the core of it down the middle is the same thing. It's just um, steel conduit. I did use PEX tubing in that one, chicken wire. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the second time this year. I don't think I've ever heard anybody mention anything about PEX tubing. This is the second time this year I've heard people. Yeah, Jamie from New England Haunter was talking about PEX
Oh yeah.
tubing on
Hmm.
I think I think he was talking about using it for like a gate, or like instead of PVC for a fence, for like a haunt fence, like, or a
Right.
gate, kind
Hmm.
of a faux gate.
Hmm.
And I was like, oh, I've never even thought about PEX tubing. And I'm like, yeah, I remember I've walked by it and I've seen it. It's usually like red or blue. It's not
Yeah.
white or gray. And I'm like, I've come by and just never paid any attention to it. So now I'm like, oh, I'll have to find something to use PEX tube just so I can say I did a project and I used PEX
Yeah.
tubing in it now. I'm
I
sure.
use it for ribs, basically.
Yeah, that makes it, because it's very bendable, correct?
Hmm. Right.
Yeah.
You can't heat it and make it stay in place like PVC does. So, like, if you have like an anchor point for each end of it, you know, then it'll be good.
You could like drill or nail it in, like to pin it
Hmm.
into place, and
Right.
yeah. So, what are your favorite materials to work with? Have you already covered them, or are there anything in particular that you really kind of gravitate towards from materials?
Yeah, just really foam is my favorite by far. I love carving foam. It makes such a mess
Oh
because
yeah.
I carve right in my living room of my house and it's like
Oh
looks like winter here all the time. Oh my gosh, my kids dance and it was foam dust at the dance studio, which means that my kids dragged it like Pigpen from Charlie Brown, foam dust to the dance studio because it's all over our house all the time when I'm carving. But
yeah.
I love carving foam. I just love it. I want to get into the hot wire things and all that, but mostly I just use like steak knives and a curry comb. I love carving foam, and then I love doing the whole burlap monster mud deal.
Yeah.
And then I love I like clay. Those are just like the epoxy sculpt and polymer clay for something that like I need like a ton of and it doesn't have to really hold up well and I can bake them. Barnacles. I've been doing tons of barnacles with polymer clay, and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
those barnacles are pretty cool. I was going to
Thank
ask you
you.
about those. So this polymer clay, huh?
Yeah, so the ones that I'm like just gonna glue on things, I use polymer clay. But if it's something that I want to just like sculpt it right onto it, then I use epoxy for that. I love doing those.
Hmm.
They're kind of like therapeutic to make.
Polymer clay is much more affordable. Is
Yes,
that kind of yeah?
yes, and yeah, and it's like you can like just make a bunch of them and then just bake them all up later in bulk. Um,
Hmm.
so I do that, but it's not as sturdy. So like things that are like just gonna like sit and not get moved a lot because we bring things to like festivals and events and stuff. So anything that I'm going to transport a ton, I wouldn't use the polymer clay barnacles on, but things that just sit in my yard because a lot of it stays in my yard. I'll use it for that because then it's not going to get really moved around a lot.
Do you use for the styrofoam when you're doing foam? Do you use rasps? Do you use files? Do you use anything like that, or hot knives, or is it all just like you said? You use steak knives
Yeah,
and
I
what?
I want to try. I don't have a rasp or anything like that. I really should get some and try them because I think they'd probably be game changers. But yeah, I mostly use like just a like hand saw and a jab saw and steak knives and the little pumpkin masters little knives, those little orange
Uh
handle
huh.
things,
Oh yeah.
and then a curry comb. That's pretty much what I use. I have like a hot knife that I used. Um, like if I need to there's some things that works. Like when I did the pumpkin dragons, because I didn't have blocks anymore. I had the sheets. I just did the shapes on the sheets with the hot knife, and then glued them together. So I'll use them for stuff like that. But I really enjoy just like carving with knives and things like that.
I've used the little yellow handled rasp that you can pick up at Home Depot, Ace, what have you. And I have like a little collection of files, which I don't really use much.
Hmm.
There's one I use that actually works really well. And then, like I say, I have one of those industrial hot wire foam factory industrial knives,
Yeah.
which are freaking expensive on their website. I got it for free because I used to do advertising on Hauntcast way back, and they basically say, oh, we're not going to pay you to advertise, but we'll give you some free stuff. And they gave me a bow cutter, which I regret giving. I
I
sold it to
heard.
Denny
Yeah.
like Denny used to do the prop shop years ago because he had a
Hmm.
professional prop shop in Las Vegas, and I needed money at the time because I was broke, and he's like, I'll
Right.
give you a couple like $300 for that, and I'm like, done, I'll send it to you because I
Nice.
couldn't even at that time I really wasn't doing a lot with foam other than like
Hmm.
tombstones. I wasn't getting into doing other things with it, and over the years I've learned how valuable it is to try to I'm like, oh, I could take my creatures to a whole other level by
Yes.
using foam blocks and carving this all out. So I'm getting better at it, but usually like I've seen people do amazing things with foam where they basically don't even like, they don't really have to use, they only do like negative, it's all like reductive, like carving, carving it down, and then they just put like some kind of a coat on it and it looks amazing. I can't
Right.
do that. I can get it rough, I can do negative to a point, and then I got to build it up with either like some foam clay or some freeform air or something else to like build it up. So I have to do a certain amount of positive on after I do the negative carving. I have
Right.
to add like the positive build up to it. I'd like to get to a point where I can just like, I've even seen some of Bob Cole's figures. I'm like, dude, it looks like he's carving that right down, throwing some paint on it, and throwing it out in the yard. I'm like, damn it, I wish I could just do all the negative like carving and rasping and everything and sanding and reduce the dependency on having to do freeform air or anything else
Right.
on top of it. I just haven't gotten there yet.
So I've kind of had the opposite trajectory in that I've always carved down. And then when I was doing the pumpkin dragon, I couldn't really get that like really like kind of bulbous, like roundish pumpkin shape, especially the bottom of the pumpkin. And so then I started adding like more, like I would add more layers of spray foam, carve it, add more, carve it to build it up. And that's the first time I've really done that. And I was like, oh, I love this.
Yeah, and once again, in using like the Loctite spray foam to do like some build up and extra, sculpting with that has been a game changer.
It's intermission time, folks. Make sure to follow and share the audio podcast, and please give us a 5-star review. Also, follow Hauntcast on Instagram at hauntcast.podcast for show updates and visual content such as pictures and tutorial videos, which post daily.
And now, on with the show.
Has there been anything specifically that's been like a game changer for you over the years that's really like opened up
Yes.
all the possibilities? What is it?
The spray foam gun.
Spray foam gun.
Yeah, so not having to use the cans, and you can just leave it sit, like, and you don't have to use it all up in one sitting, and you can get like accuracy with it and everything. Because I was really intimidated by spray foam for years, and then I started using it, and I hated using it because I would have the cans. I just didn't like working with the cans. And then I picked up one of those spray foam guns, and oh my gosh, now I'm just using that for everything. I love it. You could just set it aside for like days and go back to it later, and it's still ready to go.
Where do you get those?
I just got it at Menards.
Okay, so it's just a standard like Menards, Home Depot, whatever. You can get them
Right.
there.
Yep.
And
And
now
then
are
the
they
cans.
So is it like it's almost like a caulk gun and you put canister into it? Is that how it works?
Kind of, yeah. It's real similar to that, except the canister goes up on top, and you have to use you have specific cans that are made for the gun. And I feel like, and they hold more. They last forever. Like,
So better bang for your buck.
yes.
Yeah.
And I love it because you can just, you just twist it, you just tighten it up, and then you just set it down, and I can let it sit there for weeks, go back to it later, and it's just like ready to go. I freaking love that thing. That has been an absolute game changer because if I just have just a little touch up I need to do, so here's my thing I discovered that I can spray the foam, and then any little crevice, any little gap, any little air pocket, I can just put a little more foam in there, and I can get like a completely smooth, solid surface out of spray foam.
Nice.
And because it's in the gun, I could just do one little inch of foam and then sit it down and go back to it later. And I love that. That has been like
You already sold me. I'm getting one.
Yeah,
one.
it's cool.
I'm using so
But
much
you have
foam now. I almost feel like I have to go buy it by the case. So I never even thought about getting one, but now that you're mentioning it, I'm like, I think it might be a thing that I have to pick up.
And they have different tips so you can get really precise. And then you have like the little like knob that you twist. If you open it up all the way, you'll get like the standard like size, string of foam that you would get out of a can. You can tighten it up and just get a little small bead. It's great. Like you can just get really precise with it. But one thing I have found if you get one is that you have to baby them. You have to take good care of them. Because I went through 3 of them before I quit ruining them. You have to get the like it's an acetone, like a foam cleaner. So like if you're gonna set it down for a minute, you've got to spray the tip of it and clean it off. If
Mhm.
um if you're gonna take the canister off, you have to clean it with the spray foam, because you just the spray cleaner, the can goes right on the gun, and run it through clear before you switch cans. Because I made that mistake twice where ran out, put another can in. Just that few seconds of being exposed to the air, I got like a little bit of foam hardening inside and it blocked it up. I don't know if anybody else
Yeah.
has had that experience or if I just was really reckless with it, but I find now that you have to really careful about making sure that you never give it a chance for any foam to harden up on the inside. And I've seen YouTube videos where people take them apart and clean them out, and so I'll have to try that sometime with the ones that I killed. But I've been having a lot of luck with it since I started just really babying it.
Yeah, that's great. I'm definitely going to have to pick one up. It's not going to be a this season thing because I'm done with my prop building for this season.
Oh,
I
you're
am
all
just
done?
about, pretty much,
Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
I'm
I
pretty,
love the stuff you've
I'm
done this year.
I'm pretty much done. I am making a couple of vine root, like these roots. I'm not vines. They're roots that I want to make these little root clusters. They're little creepy root clusters. I could
Oh yeah.
make like 3 different groupings. I can just stick around the yard just to make it look a little extra creepier. And I've been thinking about doing it for a number of years. And now I've gotten my big props out of the way. I'm like, okay, I have time. I wanted to be done by September 1st with like building. I'm like, I want to be done, other than doing some patch ups and maybe a little touch up painting from my other stuff. I'm kind of prop building out.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't do any more prop building. I'm like, I am so done. I
Right.
finished that elder thing and I am like, but I have these root things that I'm trying. I'm like, okay, it's not September 1st yet. Well, by the time this thing drops, it will be way past that. Yeah, I'm just like, I'm just gonna bang these out this week and then that's it. And then it's all just starting to pull things out.
Nice.
Do a little touch up here and there. And then, anyway,
I love what you've built this year though.
oh, thanks. I
I
appreciate
love
that.
the Lovecraftian, that's really cool. I like, because it's really different. It's not something you see all the time.
I'm trying, and,
And
that, see, you've inspired me, Jen. I'm trying to
oh,
go for unique. I'm trying to go for different. I've been trying to do that for a number of years. It's just that, I'm always like that. I'm always like, I see what everybody else is doing and I want to do something else. I've never really tried to fit in. I've always wanted to stand out a little bit. And I'm always looking at something like, what can I do? And I remember Revenant doing the Theater of the Mind segment years, like a decade ago, talking about
yeah.
a Lovecraftian haunt. And he's like, yeah, if I've ever seen anybody I've never seen anybody do it. And if somebody were to do it, and I was thinking, and I was always in the back of my head. Like, and at that time, I had not read any of his stories. I had no idea. Like, I knew Cthulhu, the
Right.
creature from like plushies and stuff. Like, I kind of knew what Cthulhu was, but not what Cthulhu was. I didn't know any of the story behind it, like
Right.
the mythology, the mythos. I didn't know anything. I hadn't read any stories, and I picked up a couple, like an audio book, and I started, going through some of the stories. And then when I listened, like. First couple didn't do too much for me, like the Dunwich Horror. I'm like, yeah, okay, And then a Shadow of Innsmouth just blew my mind, and I was like, oh my God, I love this. And then it took
Yeah.
me a couple of years before I'm like, I'm in Massachusetts. I'm on the Cape. I'm in a sea. I'm on the shore, basically on the
Yes.
shore. I'm basically a sea. I am a sea town, right? So like,
Right.
how can I not do this? And then it was just okay. I'll do this. I'll do the fisherman creature, like an Innsmouth fisherman creature, like an Innsmouther. And then I'm like,
Yeah.
well, what do I? Then I'm like, oh, I should start doing something else. I go, I should make another one and do something else. Then I was like, all right, I'll do Cthulhu. And then I had the Elder thing in my mind from like a year or so ago, and I was thinking about doing, and I put that off. And I don't know why I did Cthulhu before that, but I did. And then I was like, oh, I was going to do Dagon this year, and I'm like, that's going to be that's going to be a lot of sculpting, a lot.
Right.
That's going to
More
be a
involved.
real tough one to do. And I was like, all right, I'll do the Elder one, the Elder thing this year. And,
And I love it.
and anyway, so it just, yeah, it's, and I just was thinking, I'm like, nobody, you can look around, nobody's got anything like this. So if
Right.
nothing else, and it's so funny, most people are just like, even though it's unique, everybody just gravitates towards the Gothic cemeteries and everything else. So I'm like, I don't even care. I'm like, yeah, you can ignore it. It doesn't matter. I like it. I'm glad that, I like what I'm doing. I like the direction it's going in. It's fun. And it's kind of like, doing what you're doing. You have your own unique story thing that you're doing, your whole village and
Yeah.
your grim fairy, your kind of haunted fairy tales and stuff.
Right.
And speaking of that, like Easter eggs, like galore, as I think I mentioned way back.
I
I
am
was,
such a dork.
oh, dude, so I'm going through and I'm looking at all these things and I'm like geeking out at all the little, you had like your all the little flyers that are on the wall, like a 7 dwarf mining company, the 3 little pigs
I have
construction company.
I have so much fun with that one. And like what I love is like 99% of people will breeze on through and never read any of that. And then you'll get that 1%, the person who will stand and read all of that. And I love that. So one of the little shops I added last year, because I have like this little like kind of alleyway, and I just love doing little shops. And I did like a newspaper. So I didn't do a video last year. So I think a lot of people didn't see
Yeah.
the stuff I added last year because I didn't really do a video, but I made like a newspaper shop and I called it the Storybook Hollow, the Town Crier newspaper. And it's all based on the little boy who cried wolf. And in hanging up on the walls, like plaster newspaper to things, newspapers on walls. I did this whole series of articles where he's like, I based it in my head on, I doubt you watched Bridgerton, but there's like the Lady Whistledown who writes a gossip column in the little flyer. I did it like on that style of a gossip column about wolves, about like, well, it, and I wrote like this whole series of articles where it was like, kind of off the top of my head, but like, missing duck, last seen by like the cat and the bird, probably eaten by wolf.
Do you have pictures?
And like,
Do you have pictures of those? I
yeah,
want to see those. I got to see those and read those.
and I had way too much fun with the whole like boy who cried wolf. And it's basically like, like this wolf has a new coat that looks suspiciously like sheep's wool. Coincidence? I think not. I had such a pathetically dorky fun time putting all that together. I love doing stuff like that, but I love it for like the tiny percentage of people who will take the time to read that. I just
Yeah.
love those people.
Yeah.
And then I also have an unspoken, well, it's probably getting out now, rule that if somebody if I overhear or see somebody catching one of my more obscure Easter eggs and they get the reference, I have full size candy bars that I keep just in my house during the whole season, and I just go they get a candy bar. It's kind of
Okay.
fun, some little thing I do.
That is cool. You're rewarding them for appreciating your
Yeah,
your
yeah,
little
like
your extreme detail that you add. Well, it's
it's
kind of,
just
it reminds
fun.
me of like when you're in line, when you're in queue line, like when you're at Disney World or even Universal does those. When you're in queue line, they give you these little things to read or to keep yourself busy. So if
Right.
you are not just standing there in line on the phone, you can actually start to pick up all these little pieces of the puzzle, like about the Yeti, for instance. If you're I forget what ride that was at Animal
Is it
Kingdom.
Expedition
Yeah,
Everest?
yeah, with all the little Yeti references, and you'll see like the camping expedition. There's like the tents all torn up in there, like all of the little things that they put in there, and it's
Right.
amazing. Like I would go through and read and try to figure out all of the things, and I'm on my phone trying to like look up things like to find like, what does
Right.
this mean? I gotta figure out what that means.
I love it.
Yeah, good stuff.
I've never been to Disney. It's so sad.
Yeah, it's I had
My
a
dream, but
I had a run and I did it with my kids for about 4 or 5 years, like maybe it was like 5 or 6 years, and it was like I grew up broke. I was broke my entire life. I was broke when I
same.
started up Hauntcast, and after a number of years, I started this business and things took off and I started doing really well. So I'm like, you know what? I want to treat myself. My parents never took. We were broke. My parents couldn't take me to Disney World. They
Right,
didn't take
same.
me. I can take my kids now. I'm taking them, and we went for like four. I seriously, we went so many times, so many years and consecutively that my kids were like, "We've had enough." I was
Oh
like,
my goodness.
seriously, my kids, my boys were like, "Yeah, we're good," and I'm like, okay, I guess we're done now then.
Oh
I
my
go.
gosh.
So, and I
Lucky.
have not been back since. Although I
Mm.
believe I'm going to go in either January or February of next year. I'm going to go to the Dark Universe down in Universal. I want to
Oh
go down there
gosh.
just for like a weekend, for like 2 or 3 days,
Hmm.
just to go down there for that.
It
Anyway,
looks so
it looks
good.
so cool. Anyway, now, when kids come to the house, they actually can scan. They have a QR code where they can scan, and they have to
Yeah,
make their way through to different stations, right? Like
right.
different places
Hmm.
through, and they have to solve like puzzles, or they have to get rewards and then take them to the next
Right.
thing. So explain how that
Yeah.
all
So
works.
so that's something that I haven't completely officially brought like to complete fruition of how I want it to be. So some years it's just really basic, like there'll be like a QR code that they scan and then they'll have like a scavenger hunt that they can go through and do. Um and then and then other things are like they have to like solve the mystery and break the curse and things like that. Because that's the whole thing is there's a curse and all the and somebody brought back all of the dead villains that were all defeated previously back to haunt and get revenge and all that. And they have to break the curse, or like solve the mystery of the lost library, things like that. But for the most part, it's really just kind of like a glorified scavenger hunt, really, because I haven't really gotten that full circle. But what I do have, is on certain nights, and it's kind of been just kind of like by invitation because I haven't perfected it yet. I have actors in there, and they'll do like the whole like choose your own adventure, whole experience where they have to go through and like physically like find the things, bring them to the people, like and like meet objectives and solve riddles and things, and then like brew potions and all of that. I'm trying to find a way to really make it work, but what we end up having a lot of nights is just kind of like people like end up just kind of conga lining through it
Hmm.
because we just have like we don't have a lot of space for people to line up and people to park. So I don't want to make people wait in groups because we have a few neighbors that aren't big fans and we don't want to get shut down.
Hmm.
So I can't really do it the way I really want to do it. I'm still working on that. I'm working with like an idea in my head of like doing like a virtual queue and having people like parking elsewhere. Like, cause there's a big like a big huge parking lot just up the street across the other street from us. I would like to talk to them and see if we could use that. But right now it's just a matter of getting people through. So it's really just like a glorified like scavenger hunt puzzle little quest thing that they can do.
Yeah.
But it's still kind of fun. But the night that we have it with the actors, and we always have that right after Halloween when we're closed, and it'll be like the neighbor kids and like my kids and their friends and stuff like that, and it's all of like my friends and stuff. We all just costume up and do the whole thing, and it's so much fun. We make them like do like my favorite one that we did was the first thing you go through is the market, and we had like my neighbor, he was dressed up like he was a merchant, and he was like telling them all the produce and all the magical artifacts, so that they knew that the point was to let the kids know there were apples there. And then the next stop, they go to the Hansel and Gretel gingerbread house, and they're supposed to try to convince the witch to make pies out of something other than children. And so then they go, "Oh, you can make them out of apples." And she's like, "Well, if you bring me apples, then maybe I can make my pies out of apples." So they go back to the market, And then the merchant, the guy in the market, he has good apples, he has poison apples, and they just have to decide if they want to bring the witch good apples or if they want to kill the witch with the poison apples. They always kill the witch every time. And the witch is my dad, and he's all dressed as a witch, and he dies so dramatically. Oh, you poisoned me! It's great. And so they go, and then and then they have to they had for 1 year for the Alice in Wonderland, they had to go get find all these golden letters that were hanging on the trees, and then unscramble the word for the clue. And then in the library there was a mirror, and they had clues they had to put in them that were backwards. They had to decode in the mirror and things like that. I would love to be able to do that for when we're open to the general public. It's just
Yeah,
making that actually work. I just don't know how we could make that work, but I
yeah.
love doing that.
Oh, it's adorable. I mean, I was watching some of the snippets that you had in the video, and it was just the kids were just so freaking adorably cute. The actor was, asking questions, and they're they're like, "Oh, do this or that." What? It was it's just fun. It's fun. It's cute. It's family friendly, and
the video with the Hansel and Gretel witch, that one was a friend of mine. My dad had to go home during that, so she wasn't quite as dramatic with her as my dad was. But and then my friend Amy, she's my best friend. She's the best actor. She's the one that did. If you saw the video with the witch cabinet. Mm-hmm. That was a lot of fun.
Is that where they have to, wait a minute, is that where they have to go through, where they end up going through the wall and into the back, into the swamp part of so they have to basically get through, they say the incantation, and then finally they get to go through and get into the swamp portion of the haunt, which now, is that new for last year?
No, that was the year before. That was
okay.
Yeah, when I was filming that part for the video, it ran really long, and I wish it hadn't run so long so you could see, it. So basically, they're supposed to be looking for this bubble, this bubbly thing, and it has flashing lights in it. So they're supposed to be looking for this magic bubble, and so Amy, she's my witch in that scene. She says, "Well, here's the incantation." And they open the cabinet. The cabinet's empty. There's a wall. The back wall of the cabinet comes out. So I have somebody holding that wall. And then my daughter is behind that wall. So when they open, she's like, "Oh, Drax, the cabinet's empty. Well, maybe we'll say it a different way." And then when they open it, when they close it and say the incantation, then my helper moves the wall. My daughter steps in her witch costume. They put the wall back. So then she just appears. She's like, "Oh, I summoned my sister. What are you doing here? Go away." And then they close it again, say the incantation, and then they pull the wall out. The other side of the wall is just another part of the swamp. So they just literally take the wall, flip it over, lean it up again, and then hide behind it. So then they open it, and then it just opens to the whole swamp. They're like, "Oh, you conjured the entire swamp." And then they go through to the swamp village.
So it's been around for about 2 years, 2 seasons.
Yeah, and then this year I'm putting a laser swamp in it, finally. I wanted to do that since we put the swamp up. But my neighbor had a laser swamp in his haunt, and I didn't want to copy him, but he retired from haunting last year. So I was like, "Do you mind if I do a laser swamp?" He's like, "Be my guest." Yay, laser swamp.
Nice. I still want to do it at some point. I just haven't gotten around to it because
I hope it works. I've heard it's really tricky to do outdoors, but that area is completely walled in, so I'm hoping it'll work.
Yeah, I've seen people do it outdoors, and it's worked fairly well. I have very limited area to do it, and I have this laser vortex that I run every year that people go completely ape shit over. And I'm like, I can't. I have to probably do one or the other, and it's just easier to kind of build the little box to put the vortex in than it is to try to do the whole. I'm gonna do the swamp at some point in the next couple of years. This year I was like, I got enough on I get enough going on. I got enough going on. I don't need to do it, but it'd be great. Yeah, that thing is just. I love that effect. I know it's
fun.
It's basic. I've always loved it, and I keep saying to myself, I'm gonna do it. And it's always a next year. Next year. It always turns into another year.
Well, I've seen laser vortexes done, and I'm always like, "Oh, those are really cool." But there's something about yours. I was like, "Oh shit, I need one of those."
Yeah, I don't.
So
I
like
mean,
the
like I said, I've had it. I think I've used it almost every year since I've had it, except for 1 year, and only because like my son was helping me out. The one time he helped me out, and I needed to build like a quick little 1 room thing to somebody could walk into and then leave.
Mhm.
And it was just like I can't do a vortex if we do this. And I've got him to help me out, so let's just do it. And I'll give it a rest for a year.
Mhm.
But it's very simple. It's a very simple effect. That was also something I just got for free. I think Robert Beach, if you remember, if
Mhm.
you know who he is, I
So.
interviewed him a long time ago, and like well over a decade ago. And he
Mhm.
forget the name of his haunt, but he was making them to sell for just he did it just 1 year as a little side hustle, and
Oh
he
yeah.
gave me one to add as for me to advertise on the show back then. And
Nice.
so I've had it, and the things work great every year. This year, watch, it won't work. I'll plug it in.
Oh no.
Like
Fingers
this will be
crossed
the
for it.
year that I open my mouth and I go to plug it in. It won't work.
Oh no.
Big changes. You have anything new, like really new, that you added last year or that you're new added this year? What's kind of new to Storybook Hollow?
So last year I added a ton. So the year before was the first year that we used the backyard, and we were on that stupid Fright TV show.
Hmm.
So we had to have our haunt completely set up and ready to go in August. So we had the backyard set up the way we thought we wanted it. Um, and then 2 days after filming, wrapped on that show, we had a tornado that leveled our backyard. Took huge trees down, took the whole haunt down underneath it. And so it was like crap. So and it was like late September by the time the tree surfaces finally got out of there and we could really assess the damage. So we ended up we had like a lot of like the community came and helped us, and we just kind of like it was like the weird thing like usually like I'll just like focus and focus and focus for like months on every little detail, because we had to rush it together. Once all was said and done, it came out like 10 million times better than it was before. And it was like, wow. And so that year was like, it was like rushed to get it set up. The pumpkin patch ended up being massive scene in the backyard, whereas it was in the front yard previously. The other scene was obliterated, just gone. So we just moved the pumpkin patch in the back, and I always wanted to go bigger with that anyway. And so like that year we added the backyard and added a whole bunch of stuff, and then last year I took everything that we kind of had established last year and really kind of finalized it. And so last year was the first year that like the backyard was like really like how I wanted to present it, at least for the most part. I just didn't make a video last year, so nobody really got to see it. But last year I added like a maze of it's like a library, but the books are 8 feet tall. So it's like a maze of like like a bookcase. You see the book spines.
Hmm.
It's the book spines are all like 8 feet tall. So you're just walking through like a maze of like bookcase, giant books. And then you walk through an open book to get into this like haunted library that I didn't actually finish last year. I ended up just buying a whole bunch of photography backdrops that look like open books and put them in. And I was like, oh, look, it's giant books you can pose in front of, whatever. So this year I'm actually finishing that scene. Um, yeah, last year was really like really about the pumpkin patch. I ended up like the dragons are usually the main focal point, but really like last year once I got that pumpkin patch put together, that's really my favorite. And it's big, and I'm really having fun developing that. Putting a cemetery in the back corner where I have all these like dead trees covered in ivy. That like the aftermath of the tornado created the perfect setting for a cemetery, because it's just this overgrown. I kept the dead tree stumps poking up out. They're all overgrown with ivy. I actually leave that set up, and I just take the tombstones and the ghosts out, and then I just put them back. But the whole like bones of that, the mausoleum, the crypts, and everything just stay up. And I've let them get overgrown with all the ivy and everything, and it's really cool. I love that. Um, yeah, so that's kind of like really last year was really just making the backyard
Yeah.
like what I really wanted it to be. And then this year, I'm adding like spooky trees, like kind of like the ones that Home Depot does, but they're a little different than those. And maybe a pumpkin dragon, who knows? And I did mushrooms too because I needed to do a really awesome mushroom. I did a few new mushrooms too, and I'm doing some new columns and a new gate. And then this year, really, I just bought a frick ton from Home Depot. I don't
Yeah,
know
I know.
why.
I know. I saw you post that you bought all the stuff.
I
I
know.
thought you built everything.
They really got me this year. I feel like a traitor because I'm like, yes, I make everything. I'm like, nah, they really got me this year. Well, I wanted to redo the castle towers, and there's like nothing. Like they just have like the little like the little dentile looking things on top, but they're kind of boring. I was like, hey, those gargoyles would look really cool up there. And then when I saw the video of that gigantic scarecrow and his head movement, I was like, I really like him. And I was going to put corn stalks in the whole front, like because we're not allowed to put actual fencing up for township rules, but they said we could get away with corn stalks because they're a decoration and not a fence.
Hmm.
And I was like, he would look really cool just standing right out front at the entrance. And then, of course, they come up with that wyvern. Well, of course, I'm going to get that. And I was like, well, look at me. I'm just buying everything this year. But it was good stuff. So, whatever. And those pixies, oh my gosh, who could resist the stupid pixies? I'm going to dress them up. They're going to be librarians.
Yeah, everybody's been going ape shit over all the all the HD stuff, and I was like, oh, okay. I get like I don't ever pay attention to it because I'm not looking for, and usually it doesn't fit my theme. Typically, in many
Mhm.
cases it doesn't, or it's like, yeah, I have already got a couple of spooky trees. I got a
Mhm.
tree creature, and then I got the spooky tree that I made years ago. And I'm like,
Mhm.
yeah, there's this. So I'm not usually on the lookout for it, but then as I look at it, and I'm
Right.
like, wow, this stuff is pretty freaking good. I'm like,
It
and for the
is.
price, So anyway, that's whatever. I just. So now I get why everybody is going gaga over all of the stuff, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
They just had a
Um,
lot that fit our theme this year. And I was like, well, and like, yeah, like those pixies are so funny. And that, like I said, that library, the second half of the library scene, when you get out of the giant books, I really didn't have much in there last year. And then I don't really have the time this year that I really thought I would have. So I was like, hey, I could dress them up like librarians. They'll be cute in there. Oh yeah, I can't believe I forgot this. So one big thing we're adding this year, and it's not technically a fairy tale, but I love the story so much I'm using it, is we're doing a whole Sleepy Hollow thing.
okay.
So that'll be fun. I've got like a covered bridge. That's the end. And again, it's a store bought prop, but I'm remaking it. I've got the one of the cool Headless Horseman props that I think Home Depot sold years ago at a garage sale for really cheap. And I was like, hey, I could put him at the end. So you go through a covered bridge, and then there's the Headless Horseman at the end. So I'm going to have little like hints of him, like in the pumpkin patch. I'm going to do the Atmos effects that do the Legend of Sleepy Hollow in the library. I'm going to have the book and like all kinds of little nods to it. So then when you get to the end, they'll be like, ooh, the Atmos effect Headless Horseman ghost. I'm going to have him kind of flash around here and there. So that'll be fun. And I'm doing Little Mermaid this year, which is a story I can't believe I hadn't added, but it's all going to be Sea Witch. So I'm doing that because I had like a little like arbor that you walk, like a pergola that you walk under between the swamp and the pirate area. And I was like, hey, that'd be a really good place for Sea Witch. So I did some props for a Little Mermaid ballet, and I got to keep those. And so I decided just to go ahead and like I put barnacles and seaweed all over them and make a little sea witch area. So those are kind of like the new things this year.
Does the swamp stay up year round, or does anything else? What else stays up year round?
So the backyard, it's kind of funny because our backyard was already like that. Like when our kids were little, we let them like help design and build them each their own like play structure. And they don't play with those anymore, but they're still there. And I was like, this could be like a little village back here. And then we built this, like we called our treeless tree fort. We built like this huge, like it's like a huge like play fort with like tree trunks as the base and everything. So that was already there, and we already had like a pirate like tiki bar patio area that we had built. And I was like, it's kind of like it already lends itself to it. Already had a path that went through and everything. So a lot of that like was there even before, so it stays up because it was always there. Like the big pirate ship in our backyard, that's been there for probably like 15 years. We just like haunt around it, so a lot of that stays up. The fencing around the whole trail stays up, and yeah, like a lot of it does stay up. Like the bones of it stays up. We have one of our neighbors that doesn't like us, doesn't like our haunt. They're trying to get us shut down all the time. They went through it last year. My husband's like, "Hey, look, they're coming around." And I'm like, "Nah, they're not." The next day, the township sheriff came. They're like, somebody reported that you had like a dozen storage sheds on your property, and I'm like, "Okay," because we're only allowed one. And like, it's all facades and playhouses. And he goes through, he's like, "That's a playhouse, that's a playhouse." I'm like, "That's a sandbox." Like, and he's like, "These aren't sheds." I'm like, "Nope, we've just got one actual shed. The rest is just like facades made out of like old, we use a lot of old privacy fencing that we get for free." And so, sorry, I'm rambling, but yeah, so basically like that all of that stays up, and like the cemetery area, I just started planting up like it's just like my own little gothic garden. um and so yeah, a lot of it stays up. The backyard, nothing in the front yard. The front yard comes down. Well, the witch wagon does stay up. I don't know why the township grandfathered that in for me, but they did. um but it stays up, and I just plant vegetables all around it in the summer, and it's
Yeah.
cute. But yeah, that makes it really easy because a lot of the bones were already there, you know.
Yeah, if I get to a point where I get shut down, well, I'm not doing a walkthrough. Like they're not coming in. Like right now, they just kind of walk into the beginning part of my driveway, and I have a couple of little like an air cannon, and now I'm going to have the monster in the box, which I rebuilt this year.
I love that.
I'm going to have that out front. So I had a coffin that banged, kind of like it had a hand that you could see coming out of it, and it would
Yeah.
bang, and he would moan, "Oh, brains," or
Love
whatever,
it.
And then I'm like, the thing was falling apart. It was a
Oh
really
no.
shittily made coffin out of plywood and pallets, and it just had been beat to shit over the years. And I was like, all right, you know what? I'm going to go back to do the monster in the box that I did really piss poor the first time I did it, which was years ago when I first started doing the haunt. And I never was happy with it. It never worked out. It never looked great. It never worked that great. And I rebuilt the whole thing this year.
It's amazing.
I did that, and I'm like, that's going to be out there, and then we have like probably the laser vortex, and me, and then the whole costume that I wore last year. I'm going to put on like basically a body, so people come in,
Yeah.
if they were here last year, they're going to think it's me, and
Oh
I'm going
my
to be
gosh, I love that.
and I'm going to be in a completely other different costume, and now I'm going to jump out on them when they come up to get the candy.
They'll be like, "He's gonna move any minute. Just watch him. I think he's breathing."
I always get some scares going. Like I have to get the scares, unless they're like if they're really little, then I'll just hit the like happy Halloween sound effect and give them a piece of candy. I'm not gonna jump out on them,
Right.
but for anybody, any kids that are like 12 and up, I'll try to get a scare. They love it anyway. So
Right.
I don't do anything that scary. I just get a little startled. That's
Right,
about it.
right.
But yeah, oh yeah, and the parents
fun,
the
though.
parents laugh their asses off. I never see the parents laugh harder than when their kids get scared. Like when the kids start screaming,
I
the
love it.
parents burst out laughing. It's like a 1-2. The kid screams, the parent laughs. It's like it happened.
Yes.
It's like the parents' way of getting even with the kids. They
Right,
absolutely love
right.
it. Like they drag the kids here and make them come into my yard.
No, I love that video that you have of that boy who like was he had to get brave and got his candy, and I was like, I love that.
Yeah, that was just a little walk up that my neighbor shot off of her phone, which was like I wasn't even really open because my rule is it has to be dark before you can come. Like I won't even.
Oh, yeah.
But it was like the neighbor's kid, and it was like, yeah, okay, no worries,
I love it.
I didn't, I didn't post a video last year either. I've been posting some little snippets here and there of like pictures and whatnot. And I was going to do it, and I'm like, I just don't feel like my yard's changed enough this year. So this year, I think I've added enough from last year and this year where now I'm like, okay, now I can warrant doing a video.
Right.
And I was thinking, this is my brilliant idea here, Jen, is the shadow over Yarmouth. Because the town I live in is Yarmouth in Innsmouth. So it's like, I was thinking about, like putting INNS over, like crossing out the Yarmouth and having like shadow over Yarmouth or something like that.
That would be
and that will be
amazing.
that will be my kind of thing, because I've got enough Lovecraftian now pieces in there to add so much more to it. In my costume is going to be a deep one creature, like a disciple of the esoteric order of Dagon. I've got like a robe and this cool deep one's mask and a Cthulhu like idol, like a medallion that I'm gonna wear.
Oh, yes.
All this foolish shit. Yeah, I think I posted it in the Discord.
Yes,
but
I
anyway.
remember that.
But anyway.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, so I think this year I will warrant doing a video, and you're going to have a video this year too, right? Like for next
will.
year? All right, cool.
Truth be told, the real reason I did not do a video last year, I didn't want to set up last year.
Oh, you weren't into it last year?
I was not into it. So the year before was the year we filmed for that show. That was so stressful. I was so burned out. I found out why, like, statistically, people who do that show quit either Christmas or Haunting, whatever, afterwards, because it just strips the joy of it out of you.
Wow.
So I was already like, oh, I am so done. And then we had the tornado.
Yeah, it was like a 1-2 punch, and it was just,
Yeah, so I was just like, I was just like, oh, and then we started having issues with the township, with a couple of neighbors.
Yeah.
It was just all over a fence, and that's what started it all, because the show made us put up this huge fence around it, and the township knew that it was only for filming the show. Our neighbors didn't, because we were under an NDA, so we couldn't say anything. So they were like, oh, F this fence. And they all just were like out to get us, but like they didn't know the fence was coming down and we couldn't tell them.
Yeah.
So, we finally took the fence down, and I think they thought that they reported it enough. They took the fence down. So they're like, hey, if we just keep reporting them, they'll get shut down. And so that was like, it was all fine until that dumb fence. But anyway, so we're having trouble with the township and trouble with neighbors. And then my son was really sick, and I was like, I'm not doing it. I'm just not doing it. And but my husband, who loves it once it's all said and done, because he loves the whole like, what's exciting, he was like, no, let's do it. And so I was like, well, I know the kids will be really bummed if we don't do it, like the neighborhood kids. So I'm like, we'll just do it. But I wasn't feeling it. So by the time it was like, I usually film after Halloween before I take it down. I was just like so glad to just take it down. I was like, I don't even take the time to film it. It wasn't good anyway. It didn't turn out, and I didn't film.
Yeah.
And then, or no, I'm sorry. I missed the whole year. No, that was like that year I was like burned out. But then it was this past year when things started coming back from storage. Then I was like, I still hate this haunt. I don't want to do it. And that was, I totally skipped over a year. But yeah, I was like, I wasn't feeling it. Then my son was sick, and I was still like burned out from the year before because it was rough. But this year I am like, oh, Halloween.
You're back in again.
Yes, I am in such a Halloween mood this year. I'm like, yes, Halloween. So
Yeah, I'm telling you, I have been too. I mean, I haven't gotten the feels yet, but I'm like, I've been so into building and getting ready and planning and doing, like, I'm like, all right, I'm going to fix this year. That was screwed up last year. I'm fixing that. This was like, I'm fixing this. I'm getting this. I'm making sure this works right this year. So like anything that didn't work or I was having issues with last year has been replaced. And I'm like, I'm just getting rid of the headache. It's a couple $100 solves the headache, and it will work great. And then I'll be happy during Halloween. I'll know everything is going to work. I'll know everything's been fixed or replaced. Built some stuff, and I've been in building mode, so that I'm always in a good.
Yes.
I don't know about you. I'm always in a good headspace when I'm working on things. When I'm building stuff and being creative, like it's like all right with the world. And when I'm not, I'm like antsy. I'm like, I want to move. I gotta get the hell out of here. I'm always in like a more negative headspace, and
for sure.
So I maybe I need to start building right after, like you do, start right
Yep.
after, in January, just get right to my next
Yep.
project and get those
Well,
dreary winter months out of the way by
right.
being busy instead of just, you know,
Yes.
getting into that space again, which I hate doing, but
Hmm. I've grown to love winter because I don't feel obligated to go take the kids to the park or anything, or like, well, they're older now,
yeah.
but I feel like this is my time where I could just hunker down. There's nothing else to do but build stuff. So I love it. But that's the thing that my husband didn't get last year. He didn't understand because I was like, I don't want to do it. He's like, but you're building stuff. And I'm like, oh, I want to build stuff. I want to make stuff. I just don't want to run the haunt. I don't want to deal with people. I don't want to deal with the setup and tear down. I still want to build stuff. And he was like, well, if you want to do it, then why are you still building stuff? And he didn't understand that. So last year, I kind of was just going through the motions. But I always want to build stuff no matter what.
I'm
Um,
so glad I never did one of those shows like you did that show, and
be
it
glad.
sounds like a complete nightmare. And
It was not
I
great.
remember when that American Scream movie was being made, and
Oh,
I
yep.
was supposed to be in that, and I was so happy when it was over that I wasn't. I was just like, thank
Yeah.
God that I actually wasn't in that. Plus, my hunt was like nothing where it is now. I mean, that was way earlier on when I was
Hmm.
still figuring out a lot of stuff. And I'm just like, yeah, from now on, my whole mindset is, nope, I'm not entering any contests. I'm not entering, I'm not
Hmm.
applying for any shows or any of this
Right.
shit. I'm doing my thing, and I'm doing it for the local area and whatever. I don't
Hmm.
care. I'm tired of trying to compete against people like have a better haunt. Like, I just, whatever, man.
Hmm.
Good for you. I like watching the video so I can see the different haunts, because I always find stuff I wasn't aware of.
Hmm.
Because I just, I can't be as much as I try to be plugged in. I can't possibly know everybody who's out there
Right.
and all the different haunts out there. So I try, but it's
So
impossible. It's
I love to do the Home Haunter Awards show and then the Canadian Haunter Awards show because to me, I don't see those as like, I mean, it's a competition, but to me, it feels more like it's just the haunt community celebrating each other than like a
oh
cutthroat
yeah, it's not.
competition. So I'll
Yeah.
always do those if I have a video to
Well,
enter. I'll enter.
and you don't have to set up an August to do anything, and you don't
Right.
have a film crew
Because
there. You just film your own stuff and you
right.
submit it, and
So
it's yeah.
to me,
It
that's different because it's run by haunters for haunters. To me, it just seems like
oh
a community celebrating each other, and
well
not like a cutthroat.
well
Oh,
well Jen, and as I say that, I did enter my Cthulhu for the static prop this year.
oh, nice. Oh,
I didn't do it for my haunt though. I'm like, I'm not doing the haunt.
awesome.
Plus, it's people that just have such more elaborate. Look, I'm a one man operation here, so there's only so much I can do. So
Well, and it doesn't.
when you have a crew of people who are putting these haunts together, you got like family and friends helping out. I can't. There's just so much that people can do. I
Right.
just like I don't even like. I'm not even trying to compete with that. I just like I'll just do my thing. But for props, I'm like just to submit a prop. I'm like, oh
Right.
yeah, I could do that. Yeah, sure. I'll submit.
Because I've heard Troy say before, like they've had people who, like a prop has won the overall thing. People who like they have new people all the time who haven't entered it before, and stuff like that. So,
Well, I told them too. I was like, I told them I'd help out as a judge this year, but I
mhm.
guess he didn't need me. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. I think I would.
I judged it
Yeah.
once. It's fun.
I was like the announcer for the best pneumatic prop award.
Oh
Yeah, that
yeah.
was. So
Hmm.
I helped out with that. I told him, hey, if you need anything, just let me know. And he's like, hey, you want to be the like the announcer
Fun.
for the best pneumatic
Yeah.
prop? And I'm like, absolutely, I'll do that. Sure. So that was the
Nice.
only thing I did. Um,
I love
yeah.
that show. But yeah, the fright fight though, the one that was on TV, absolute nightmare. Would never do again. And it had nothing to do with like win or lose. It was just so
Yeah.
stressful. Like they made us change so much, and like they were constantly like they make us change this, and we're like, all right, redo all of this. Their insurance company needed this, that, or the other thing. Get it all done. They're like, no, actually, we're gonna have you do it this way. And then they made us set it up so that we could bring the judge up onto the roof and we had to do all this stuff for their insurance company.
Ugh.
We didn't even want to bring the judge on the roof, but they made us. And then they never put the judge on the roof. So like they wasted probably like 3 weeks of our time getting this roof up to code for some judge to go
Oh,
climb up
God.
onto. And they never even did that. And it was like, it was really frustrating. And then like the show, like overall, I was happy because I was worried with like reality TV that they were going to make us all look terrible. And
Yeah.
they didn't do
Oh,
that.
that's
Like, I
good.
think everybody, like, I think everybody, like, it was fun. I think they made everybody's haunts look good.
Are those episodes available to stream for free, or is it like pay? You have to like subscribe to something to watch them. Is
I
that like you
think
have to subscribe to Hulu or something, or can you
so.
watch?
I think right now our season is nowhere. I don't think you could even pay
Oh,
and watch it. I know season 1 is like, I think you could buy it on Amazon Prime, but I don't think that, because we were at season 2, I don't think it's even anywhere,
huh.
which is really disappointing because like a lot of people put a lot of work into that. It should be available at
Yeah,
least somewhere, but I don't think it's anywhere. I think it's just gone to the void or something.
yeah.
But it was quite an experience. I think they really made everybody's haunts look good, and they don't think they like, like those reality shows where they like
It made you look like
fabricate
psych.
drama to make people look bad.
Yeah.
They didn't do any of that, and I was glad of that. But there was a lot of just crap that they put, because I've talked to other contestants that they put a lot of us through for things that they didn't end up using, and it was like,
Yeah.
and so much of ours they didn't show. And so I read a lot of comments that this isn't even scary or Halloween. And I'm like, yeah, because they didn't show any of that. It's
Mhm.
there. They just didn't
Yeah.
show it. But it is what it is. And the thing I really felt bad about is they insisted that I had a frick ton of children in it. They wanted like kids everywhere in it. They wanted like kid actors and like little kid villagers. And so I had all these kids who were so excited they're going to be on TV.
Did
And
it?
then they called me 2 days before it aired and said, we just want to let you know we cut the entire Quest storyline and none of the kids are in it. And I had to tell all these parents that their kids were cut from the show.
Ah,
And I felt so bad.
I wouldn't want to deal with those people. They're just,
Yeah,
they don't give a shit. I mean, anyway,
yeah.
yeah. Well, anyway, let's hope you have a fantastic year this year.
Yes,
we're
you
on
too.
look, we're on schedule. Spooky season's here. You're in the zone. I'm in the zone.
Yes.
I'm here for you, Jen.
You too.
All
We
right.
got
So
this.
anyway, all right. So let's see. So if the dungeon denizens want to stalk you on the interwebs, where do they go?
So I'm old, so I'm pretty much like, I have an Instagram and I have all that stuff, but I just basically just keep my Facebook updated. So the Haunting of Storybook Hollow on Facebook. I am House of a Thousand Glue Sticks on YouTube. I want to start uploading more videos. I swear I will. So those are really the two places that I'm at, really, that I'm trying to keep
Got it.
active.
Facebook, YouTube. All
So
right.
yeah, Facebook, The Haunting of Storybook Hollow, YouTube, House of a Thousand Glue Sticks.
Links will be in the description,
Okay.
down in the catacombs. Well, Jen, I just have to say, and I usually say this during one of the mad props for prop segments that I really don't do anymore, but I am not worthy.
Oh, whatever. No, you're amazing. All your stuff's amazing.
Well,
Seriously.
let's revel in the season, shall we?
Yes,
Let's do that. Let's have a rocking season. Let's have a great
for sure.
Halloween night. Let's enjoy. Let's have some fun. Let's make sure that that we tantalize all the little neighborhood kids with some fun Halloween nonsense that we all do,
Definitely.
that we do so well. And I will catch you. I usually say around the internet or around the net, but I will actually catch you in our Discord Haunt
Yes.
Club. And if you guys aren't in the Discord, the Hauntcast Haunt Club on Discord, just look us up on Discord and join the nonsense that we do. We are going to be doing live
It's
streams.
great.
We're going to be doing more live streams. Off season, I've got make and takes planned. So during the downtime, during like January, February, March, I'm thinking we're going to do some streamed make and takes. So like a nationwide or worldwide make and take. Instead of having to physically be there, we're going to do these kind of virtual, like a stream. So something I've been thinking about we're going to do. So we will catch you there. And Jen, happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Please like, subscribe, comment, give us a 5-star review, share with friends, and buy us a beer if you see us out in the wild. Follow us on Instagram at hauntcast.podcast for show updates as well as more pictures and video content. Join the Hauntcast Hunt Club on Discord with live streams bi-weekly. Also, like and follow our Hauntcast Facebook page. Listen to the entire back catalog of our audio podcasts, available on all podcast platforms, with over 550 segments now available. Until next time, stay scary.
Go now, and heaven help you.